Just when I thought things could not get any worse for Uber Eats and Doordash, it looks like they are getting worse. That's right, there was a cyber attack on JBS Monday, and they account for 25% of the cattle production in the United States. So on this news, meat prices of beef rose by 1%. Now JBS is saying that by Wednesday, by today, they're supposed to have things back online, but if that doesn't happen, things could get a lot worse. And let me explain why this could hit drivers the hardest if JBS is not able to get things back online and functioning smoothly within the week. So first of all, this comes at a point in time when things are, already looking a little bit grim for the food delivery industry right now, with gas prices rising, with used cars being really hard to come across. There's a shortage on those, so it's harder for new drivers to come into the market and buy those cheap used cars to deliver with. There's an increase in demand, so customers want food delivered to them, but there aren't enough drivers out there willing to do this right now, making things more expensive, meaning that food is going to be delivered at a non-optimal temperature. And things haven't historically been great for drivers in the first place, right? Like, we've seen a lot of wage cuts. There's a lot of unpredictability in the food delivery market. We're going into the summertime when things are already kind of slow, and this could potentially just weigh in on top of that. So yesterday I actually came out with a video about gas prices, how those could come up, how Goldman Sachs is expecting for crude oil to hit $80 plus per barrel sometime this summer, and potentially go up even higher from there, how that's going to impact gas prices and make these problems and concerns even greater for DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers, also Grubhub drivers as well. So let's talk about the price of beef, because this is one of the major ingredients that goes into a lot of restaurant foods that customers are ordering. And so restaurants themselves, they're actually buying out ahead of time, right? They have already prepaid for meats for the next month. So a lot of these price increases are going to be pushed out a month. And, as of right now, it's not a massive fluctuation because it looks like JBS can recover quickly. There's no guarantee that they're going to bounce back quickly. So these increases in meat prices that we're seeing, the beef increase in prices, it's going to be pushed out about a month. And that's going to coincide with these higher peaks in oil and gas prices, which, the combination of these factors plus the shortage of used cars is really going to hit hard in the summer, which is already a slow time for the food delivery industry. And not only that, but food delivery drivers, DoorDash drivers, Uber Eats drivers, Grubhub drivers, not only does this hurt their stream of income, but this is also a commodity that a lot of drivers are buying, right? Like, a lot of us eat meat, a lot of us eat beef. So not only does it hurt our wages, but it also makes it more expensive for us to go to the store and buy these products. And if we scale this out to the big picture, what we're looking at here is a lot of supply chain constraints and definitely a concern that inflation is growing and could perhaps be here to stay. A lot of what we've heard from the Fed and from advisors is that this inflation is transitory, it's going to pass, but it is really hitting hard. It's hitting consumers the hardest, and it might be hitting food delivery even harder than other parts of the economy. So I've always advised to diversify. I talked about it in the last video, other things that you can do over the summer, other gigs that aren't as dependent on gas prices, on having a car, on food prices. We talked about moving, stuff like that. And I'm also going to do a video coming up about side hustles that you can do, with starting your own business outside of the gig economy. And this allows you just to have a little bit more control over your own business. Obviously you can't control the input costs with inflation, but that's something that, people all across the globe right now are dealing with, not just food delivery drivers, not just Americans, literally everyone everywhere is seeing these inflation and these rising costs. But you want to control the things that you can control. So some of these side hustles, some of these business opportunities, we're going to focus on stuff that's, really beneficial, and they're good businesses to run during the summer months, because this is going to coincide with the actual slowdown that we usually see in food delivery and in the gig economy during the summer. So let me know if you'd have any ideas that you'd like to add to this future video. Leave a comment down below, or if you have any other topics you'd like me to talk about in this upcoming video, I would love to go into that. Now, while it's easy to kind of panic while we're seeing these surges in prices, I don't think long term it's really going to be that big of a deal and that make that massive of an impact on drivers. But I do think it's going to be a slightly weirder summer than normal, right? So I've said this all along, drivers that have been smart going into this, that bought fuel efficient cars, that drive e-bikes, that planned this from the beginning to kind of control their costs a little bit better, are going to be just fine over the summer months. But it is, potentially going to be a little bit slower, or it's going to deviate a little bit more than it does from normal summers. So expect that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that this is the new normal. I don't think that, oil costs and beef costs are going to remain, massively high for the long term. Oil costs more likely so than beef costs. I think there's some macro trends that are shifting away from oil, and environmental protection goals and plans that are going to, over the long term, make this slightly more expensive. But other input costs are definitely going to, kind of adjust back to normal a little bit quicker. And so it's nothing to panic about, but it is something to plan for. And that's what I always advise on this channel, is to just plan for the future as best as possible. And another topic that I had a lot of people say they wanted me to talk about on this channel was cryptocurrency. I'm thinking about doing a video specifically towards that in the future. But let me just give you a brief overview of where I'm at with trading cryptocurrency. I got into it in 2017, 2018. I've never actually bought Bitcoin. I went pretty heavy into Ethereum and Cardano, and then in the last year I've traded some other, smaller pockets of DeFi and altcoins that I thought were interesting, but I've mostly just long-term held those coins. And I actually sold all of my Ethereum and Cardano about a month ago, before everything kind of crashed 50%. Right now we're in a period of distribution, which means that after that massive drop off, it's kind of 50-50 which direction we go. So I would say definitely, if you want to jump into this and get started, I would be careful. I would kind of nibble your way into it instead of just putting a lot of money into it right now, because statistically speaking, if you look at data during a distribution period, it's kind of like 50-50 on directions, which to me is a gamble, right? So I'm actually not trading crypto at the moment, but I am in USDC coin on Voyager. Essentially, it gives you 9% return on your money if you just put it there. It's not FDIC insured, so like you don't want to put a ton of money into this, but if you're talking like a few thousand, maybe up to like 10,000, assuming that you have more money on the side that you can use to pay your bills, then this is a risk worth taking for that 10%, 9% return on your money without a ton of risk here. So that's kind of where I'm at. If I see the bull trend continue, then I will probably get back into cryptocurrency and make some videos about that. And with the Fed continuing to print money, continuing to be very accommodative for the economy, that's really the only thing that matters with asset prices, with stocks, with home prices, with cryptocurrency. Essentially, every time money gets pumped into the economy, it needs to go somewhere, and a lot of that goes towards stocks, houses, cryptocurrency. So as long as the Fed keeps doing this, you can kind of expect them to go up. But we have seen some damaging technicals in cryptocurrency. So at the moment, I'm just kind of backing off and sitting on the sideline. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel.